Hey guys, Gathering Magic back again, and wanted to do a deep dive on the new land cards that will be coming out soon. Hopefully will be out sometime in early December. So I'm going to break this down into two parts. This first part, we're just going to do a deep dive into all the different land cards, what elements they are, how much they will cost, the print runs, and some things to think about that you may not have thought about, but I wanted to bring to your attention. And one of the components for land cards is Cinder, and that is going to be something I want to do in part two because there are a lot of numbers to go through and a lot of different options for you to get cards to burn for creating Cinder. So stay tuned for that in part two. But in this deep dive, let's just start with kind of the basics and get more into depth. So to start, this first edition of land cards, there will only be 4 different cards, one of each rarity. They will be limited in number. So once there is a certain amount of these that are crafted, that is all that will be crafted. For the commons, there will be a print run of 100,000. 400 for a common means there are only 250 max copies possible. For the rares, there's only going to be 18,000 printed at most, so that breaks down to no more than 156 max copies. The epics are limited to 6,000 or 130 copies possible, and legendaries 1,000 print run or 90 max copies possible. Now, they said these will only be available to be printed for no more than 3 months. So say December, January, February, maybe early March, that will be it. Once the print run is met or the time limit is met, that is all that will be able to be crafted. We are only going to be able to craft the regular foil cards. For the gold foil, black foil, and arcane versions, the only way to get those is if you have a max level card. It can be any of the rarities, but it has to be max level, and it will get an ability called Laborer's Luck. They haven't gone into great detail on this, but what I'm thinking is every time you harvest, you have a percentage chance of pulling one of these cards. So each of these cards, regardless of the rarity, will take 2 different things. They're going to take a certain amount of land resources, and they're going to take Cinder. Cinder is acquired by burning cards. You can burn any card that you can burn for DEC and get Cinder. Cinder is equal to 1.5 times the collection power of the card burnt. And like I said, this is going to be a future deep dive video because there's a lot of different options. I mean, everyone thinks right off the bat, well, Chaos Legion commons, but that may not be the best way to get the most Cinder for the cost. So like I said, stay tuned for that in a future video. The land cards do take up one of the 5 slots on land. One of the questions I had, was will this be like a separate slot on land just for a land card? No, this will take one of your 5 slots. Land cards have abilities that increase your production. They can also reduce the amount of DEC staking required, reduce your grain requirements, replace a power core, and different abilities. I think I did mention the launch date is planned for December, and there will be a 3-day period where landowners will have a chance to produce a certain amount of cards before everyone else based on the amount of production points. So they said sometime between now and when it launches, they're going to take a snapshot of everyone's land as far as how much production you have on all your plots. This is base production. It's not including totem titles, any of that. So they didn't say specifically when, but make sure that you have your land up and running as much as you can as soon as possible. Okay, so each land card will have the following production power. So they had a chart that listed the max level. I wanted to break it down to single card. So if you have a common land worker that is max level, it's 2,000 production points. But let's say you only have it, a single level or level 5 or whatever, it breaks down to about 5 production per card. If you have a rare, max level is 2,200 production points or about 19 per card. Epics will be 2,500 production for a max level or 54. And the legendary will be 3,000 at max level or 272 a card. So one thing to keep in mind too is since this is taking up one of the 5 slots, if you don't have it max level and you already have a maxed out plot, your production may be lower. Okay, let's look at the land cards one by one. So the common is tied to the water element. So you can use this on a river, lake, and bog but you do not want to put this on a plains. And the reason being, one of the main abilities, and probably the main ability of the common, is to give you a grain boost. Now, grain can be produced on those 4 plots, but you don't want to put it on a plains because it's tied to the water element and it will give you a negative 50%. So this is something I don't think a lot of people are thinking about. It's like they're like, oh, common, I'll get a grain boost, great. But this card is tied to an element. So, I can't overemphasize enough. Keep this in mind. If you own a region or a track, or you just happen to have just plains producing all your grain, you probably don't want to produce this common land card. Okay, that being said, so right off the bat at level 1, this does give you a 1% grain boost, and it goes all the way up at max level to 60%. So for the single card, it will require you to burn or acquire 375 cinder and 20,000 grain, and then you can craft a level 1 card. All you have to do is just go to the Artisan Quarter. It'll be a drop-down menu, and then you will just pick, okay, I want to produce this common card. You pay these costs, boom. It'll be instantaneous. It's not going to be something where, it takes a day or many days to actually craft the card, so that's kind of cool. Once the card gets to level 3, it gets an ability called Energize, which replaces your power core, so that's very nice. It takes 14 cards, so now you're looking at a cost of 5,250 cinder or 280,000 grain. Level 3, you also get Rationing. It reduces the grain consumption on your plot and goes from 10 to 30%. Dark Discount you get at level 5, so that takes 60 cards. That reduces your DEC staking requirement. And let me look real quick to see what the reduction is. Reduction in grain, it goes 10 to 30%. Okay, so 10 to okay, oh, the DEC staking requirement. So that goes 50% straight across the board. So we will just do 50%. So it does not go up as the card levels, but once you hit level 5, basically it costs half as much. And then Labor's Luck. This is an ability that every land card gets at max level. It's your chance to pull gold foil, black foil, arcanes. They did not give the percentage chance. But like I said, my guess is every time you go to harvest, you'll have a certain percentage, kind of like pulling a totem fragment. Hopefully not as hard as it is to pull a totem fragment. But that's at level 10, 400 cards required for max common. So you're looking at 150,000 cinder and 8 million grain to max that card out. Okay, the next card, the rare card, is tied to the earth element. This is tied to basically giving you a wood bonus. So you can use this on a forest, jungle, and tundra. There's really no penalty to use it on a swamp, but you won't get that 10% bonus. Okay, so the good thing is there's no plot that you really shouldn't use it on. So first thing you get at level 1, you get the Dark Discount. You get from a 5 up to max level 99% less DEC staking requirement. So that is awesome. So once you max this thing out, basically you don't need to stake hardly any DEC. To craft a level 1 of this card, it takes 1,875 cinder and 30,000 wood. Toil and Kin Elf you get at level 1. What this means is you get a 5 to 30% bonus to your production on the plot if at least one of your workers is an elf. Once again, 1,875 cinder and 30,000 wood. Okay, Bountiful Wood, you start getting the wood bonus at level 2. It starts at 10% and goes up to 70%. It takes 5 cards to get it to level 2, so you're looking at 9,375 cinder, 150,000 wood. Level 2, it also gets a ability called Energizes, so you don't need to have a power core. Same costs, and then of course at max level, Labor's Luck. So to get it to level 8, 115 cards, you're looking at 215,625 cinder and 3,450,000 wood. So as you can see, if you want to max any one of these cards out, you need a ton of resources. But the nice thing for the common and the rares is you will notice they do not take aura. That changes for the epics and the legendaries. So the epic land card is tied to the life element. So if you're going for the grain boost, you can use it on a plains. That will give you the boost. You can use it on a lake or river. You won't get the bonus. don't use it on a bog. That will give you the negative 50%. If you're going for the higher ability that I believe it gets at level 5, for the stone boost, there's only 3 plots that can produce stone: canyons, desert, and hills. You want to use it on a hills. Do not use it on a canyon or desert, or you will get that negative 50%. So once again, before you start crafting these, make sure you have the appropriate land type. So right at level 1, the nice thing is this gets 3 abilities. It gets the Toil and Kin ability. If one of your workers is a mundane beast, you will get anywhere from a 5 to 25% production bonus. A level 1 card costs 5,625 cinder, 7,500 aura, 15,000 stone, and 50,000 grain to craft just one epic land card. You also get dark discount, 15 to 80% less DEC staking requirement for that plot. Level 1, you also get bountiful grain, so now you start getting the grain boost anywhere from 5 to 80%. Once again, I'll emphasize it, don't use it on a bog. Once it hits level, so you don't get another ability to level 5. So you're either going to craft this at level 1 or you're pretty much going to go to max this thing out. Level 5 is where you start getting the stone boost. At level 5 it gets a 65%, and then at max level it gets an 85% bonus to your stone production. But now look at the cost. Level 5 takes 32 cards, 180,000 cinder, 240,000 aura, 480,000 stone, and 1.6 million grain. So you've got to be a pretty big landowner to be able to produce it at that level. And then of course max level it gets Laborer's Luck. Level 6, 46 cards, 258,750 cinder, 345,000 aura, 690,000 stone, and 2.3 million grain to produce that bad boy. Alright, and then finally for the legendary, this is tied to the death element. So the main thing with this is you're going for the iron boost. Use it on a Badlands or a mountain. Don't use this on a caldera. A caldera will give you the negative 50%. Okay, so right off the bat, you get a 25% boost to your iron production at level 1. But a level 1 card costs 37,500 cinder, 50,000 aura, and 40,000 iron. You guys know iron is the hardest resource to get currently. Dark discount, 70 up to 99% DEC staking requirement, also at level 1. Toil and Kin undead, you get a 15 to 30% bonus if at least one of your land workers is undead. Level 3, you get bountiful aura, where you get a 75% bonus to aura. Max level, you'll get a 100% bonus to your aura. Level 3 takes 6 cards, so now you're looking at 225,000 cinder, 300,000 aura, 240,000 iron. And to max this thing out to get Laborer's Luck, you need 412,500 cinder, 550,000 aura, and 440,000 iron. Okay, so just kind of recap the costs at max level. So if you're going for the common land card, you want to max it out. It's only going to cost grain and cinder, but it's 8 million grain, 150,000 cinder. The rare land card, 3,450,000 wood, 143,750 cinder. If you want to max epic, 345,000 aura, 690,000 stone, 2.3 million grain, and 172,500 cinder. And finally, the legendary card, 550,000 aura, 440,000 iron, and 275,000 cinder. So as you guys can see, if you are going for a max level of any of these, you got to start saving your stuff now. Okay, some things to think about though. So a lot of you, maybe, I'm going to go for some of these cards, but if you only craft a land card with that's level 1 or 2, it is taking up a land slot. So if you're putting this on a plot that you already have kind of optimized, you're going to have much lower production on that plot. So even though you're getting bonuses, you have to look at, okay, yeah, maybe I'm getting a small land grain bonus, but I'm dropping the production so much because let's say I had a max level gold epic that was giving me 6,000 plus the 10%, 6,600 production points. Now all of a sudden, let's say I'm producing a level 5 common land worker. that's only going to be like 300 production. You're going to end up being worse off. So one of these things it looks like for this is it looks like you're going to want to go big or go home. You're going to want to just max the thing out and try to get the bonuses that make it worthwhile for having on your land. But if you're just starting out, you don't have your plot optimized, you just want to get those bonuses, you're going to grow your plot over time. Maybe having a level 1 or level 2 will be good to have. And another thing to think about too is these are only going to be craftable for a limited amount of time. So um, even if you can only make a lower level card, you can sell it on the marketplace. So that's something to keep in mind. And you don't, after the 3-day period where it's landowners only, anyone can craft these cards, even if you don't own land. And you're asking, well, how's that possible? There's a trade hub slot in land. You can go ahead and you can trade your DEC for grain. So you could go there, trade your DEC for grain, get some grain, burn some cards for cinder, and go to the artisan quarter. You'll be able to craft your own land cards. So don't think because I don't own land, I can't take part of this. Yes, you can. Okay, and another big point, make sure your land card works with your land type. Okay, so if you have the common card, which is tied to water, don't use it on a plains. If you have the rare card, which is tied to the earth element, there's no negative to putting it on any of the plots. It's just if you use it on a swamp, you won't get that extra bonus. If you have the epic card, which is tied to the life element, you don't use it on a bog. That will give you a negative if you're going for the grain. The epic card, if you're going to use it for the stone boost, only use it on a hills. And then for the legendary card, which is tied to death element, don't use it on a caldera. Okay, guys, there you have it. I think that is it for part 1 for the land card deep dive. Went through just about everything I want to go through other than Cinder. Like I said, Cinder is a unique beast in itself, so we're going to do a separate video on that. So hope this helps you get a little bit ready for producing the land cards. Like I said, I wanted to get the costs out there, kind of break down how many cards there are going to be available and if it's going to be worth it to you, or if you'll be able to produce these cards anywhere close to max level. So hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, stay tuned for part 2. Will be coming out in the next day or two. I want to get that out pretty soon, and until then, stay the course, keep on forging, and have fun. Take care.